Scotland's graveyards are steeped in eerie history and ghostly legends. If you dare to visit these hauntingly beautiful sites, beware. Many restless spirits are still lingering, waiting for the living to cross their paths. 1 St. Oran's Graveyard, Iona, Scotland. St. Oran's Graveyard on Iona Island is home to the restless spirit of its namesake, a monk who was buried alive as part of a sacred ritual. His screams, ignored at the time, are said to echo through the island, still filled with sorrow and rage. Visitors describe an eerie sensation as they approach his grave. Whispers seem to fill the air, and a shadowy figure often appears near the tomb. On moonlit nights, the area grows unnaturally cold, and those who linger report a chilling presence following them, their every step watched by unseen eyes. Some even claim to hear faint cries for help, lost in the wind. The curse of St. Oran, it's said, still holds power over the land, preventing the restless spirits from finding peace, and any who disturb his grave are doomed to suffer his wrath, slowly driven mad by the unrelenting terror. 2. Glasgow Necropolis, Glasgow. Glasgow Necropolis, perched high above the city, casts an imposing figure against the skyline, but at night it transforms into a realm of restless souls. The cries of a grieving widow can be heard in the quiet of the cemetery, and some say her pale, sorrowful face appears in the mist. People report hearing soft footsteps behind them as they wander the darkened paths, only to turn around and find no one there. Others have seen fleeting shadows dart between the mausoleums, as if the dead are watching and waiting. The oppressive atmosphere in the necropolis leaves an unsettling feeling, as though the spirits of the past are still trapped within the cemetery's stone walls. Some claim that they've felt invisible hands brush their skin, while others say they've seen ghostly forms gliding between the tombstones, vanishing into the thick fog that rolls through after dark. Glasgow Necropolis is a place where the living are never truly alone. 3. Kirk O The Forest, Selkirk, Scotland. Kirk O The Forest is a haunting graveyard with a dark, tragic history. The most chilling tale involves a woman mistakenly buried alive, her cries and frantic attempts to escape unheard by those who had mourned her. Her spirit is said to haunt the graveyard, her sorrowful wails filling the air as if she's still struggling to free herself from the earth. Visitors often describe hearing the sound of nails scratching against wood beneath the ground, or feeling the chilling presence of someone standing just behind them. Some report a heavy, suffocating sensation when standing near her grave, a reminder of her agonizing last moments. As night falls, shadowy figures move between the gravestones, and some believe they are the spirits of the dead, still trapped in the afterlife, unable to escape the grip of the past. Kirk O The Forest is a place where the veil between the living and the dead is thin, and the spirits refuse to stay quiet. 4. Eastwood Cemetery, Glasgow. Eastwood Cemetery is a quiet, peaceful resting place by day, but as night falls, it becomes a chilling sanctuary for the restless. The most infamous apparition is that of a tall figure draped in a dark, tattered cloak. Witnesses describe feeling the intense weight of this spirit's gaze, as though it's watching every move they make. The cloaked figure often vanishes when approached, but its presence lingers in the air, heavy and unnerving. Other strange happenings include the sound of chains dragging across the earth, even though there are no chains to be found. Some visitors have described a sudden drop in temperature and an unsettling feeling of being followed, while others hear faint whispers beckoning them deeper into the cemetery. Eastwood Cemetery remains one of the most unsettling places in Glasgow, where the living and the dead coexist in eerie silence. 5. Dunfermline Cemetery, Dunfermline. Dunfermline Cemetery, despite its scenic surroundings, is a place where sorrow never fades. The spirit of a soldier who died in battle and never received a proper burial roams the grounds. His form, often seen near his grave, is that of a tall figure in a faded uniform, staring out into the distance. Some visitors report hearing the sounds of armor clinking softly, or chains being dragged across the ground as if he is still haunted by the weight of his past. Others experience sudden, overwhelming feelings of sadness near his grave, as though the soldier's grief has seeped into the earth. The cemetery is filled with restless souls, and many have claimed to see shadowy figures wandering the gravestones, still trapped in their tragic fates. Dunfermline Cemetery is a place where the line between the living and the dead is forever blurred, as the spirits continue their mournful journey. 6. Greenock Cemetery, Greenock. Greenock Cemetery is a place shrouded in mystery, haunted by the ghost of a former gravekeeper who still walks the grounds, lantern in hand. His faint light is often seen flickering through the fog as he makes his rounds, ensuring the spirits are not disturbed. Many have reported the sensation of being followed, as though invisible eyes are watching their every move. Some visitors claim to hear the unmistakable sound of chains dragging across the cemetery grounds, even though there are no chains in sight. Others report a sharp drop in temperature, followed by the unmistakable feeling of cold hands brushing their skin. Greenock Cemetery has a sense of unease that never seems to fade, and its haunting past continues to linger, unseen but felt by those brave enough to visit. 7. Whithorn Cemetery, Whithorn, Scotland. Whithorn Cemetery is steeped in ancient history, and the spirits that walk its grounds are bound by the tragedies of the past. The most infamous ghost is that of a monk who was brutally murdered during a time of political unrest. His vengeful spirit is often seen drifting silently among the tombstones, his figure barely visible through the mist. Visitors have reported hearing soft chanting carried on the wind, though no one can be seen. Others describe feeling an unseen presence walking beside them, urging them deeper into the graveyard. Some claim to have glimpsed the monk's figure at the edge of the cemetery, his eyes glowing in the dark, silently watching the living. Whithorn Cemetery is a place where the ancient and the supernatural are woven into its very existence. 8. Lochcarron Cemetery, Lochcarron, Highland. Lochcarron Cemetery is home to a sorrowful spirit, a grieving widow who still wanders the grounds, searching for her lost husband. Her ghost is often seen at dusk, a faint glowing figure dressed in white, drifting silently between the gravestones. Some visitors claim to have heard the soft sound of weeping or felt a sudden wave of sadness wash over them when near her grave. Her spirit seems unable to rest, forever bound to the cemetery by the grief of losing her beloved. The atmosphere in Lochcarron Cemetery is thick with her sorrow, and those who wander its paths at night are said to feel a presence walking beside them, guiding them through the graves. The cemetery is a place where love and loss remain trapped, and the spirits of the past are never at peace. 9 St. Andrew's Eastern Cemetery, St. Andrew's Street. Andrew's Eastern Cemetery, with its haunting beauty and eerie atmosphere, is home to the restless spirit of a young child. Visitors often report seeing her figure, pale and silent, peering from behind the gravestones as though she is searching for something or someone. Her soft giggles can sometimes be heard echoing through the air, only to vanish moments later. Some have felt her tiny hand brush against their own, only to turn and find no one there. The child's spirit is believed to be trapped between the worlds, unable to move on without her parents. On stormy nights, the air is filled with a sense of abandonment, and the cemetery takes on a haunting, melancholic atmosphere. St. Andrew's Eastern Cemetery is a place where innocence lost still lingers, and the spirits of children remain ever present. 10. Old High Churchyard, Inverness. The Old High Churchyard in Inverness is a solemn resting place for a mother whose tragic death left her soul restless. Her ghost, often seen at night, wanders the graveyard, her arms outstretched as she searches for her lost child. The faint sound of her cries can sometimes be heard, drifting on the wind, along with the unmistakable feeling of an overwhelming sadness. Her figure appears most often in the moonlight, glowing faintly as she searches the graves for her baby. Those who have spent time in the churchyard at night report feeling an intense sorrow in the air, as if the grief of the past is still present, never allowing the dead to rest. Old High Churchyard is a place where heartache remains long after the grave. 11. Aberdour Cemetery, Aberdour. Aberdour Cemetery is the site of a young girl's restless spirit, forever bound to the graveyard where she was buried far too young. Her ghost is often seen near the graves, playing with an invisible companion, her laughter faint but unsettling. Visitors describe hearing the sound of her tiny footsteps echoing between the gravestones, and some have even reported seeing her giggling from behind the stones. There is a peculiar energy in the cemetery, one of both joy and sadness, as though the girl is trying to find someone who might help her find peace. Others hear faint scratching noises from beneath the earth, but when they investigate, nothing is found. Aberdour Cemetery is a place where the dead refuse to stay quiet, and their presence lingers, visible only to those willing to see. 12. Sighthill Cemetery, Glasgow. Sighthill Cemetery is a place where the boundary between the living and the dead is thin. The most well-known apparition here is a tall, cloaked figure who stands motionless at the edge of the cemetery, watching the living with an intense, unblinking gaze. The figure has been seen by several visitors, but when they approach, it vanishes without a trace. Strange whispers often fill the air, and the sound of footsteps can be heard behind visitors, though no one is ever seen. Some have described the sensation of being watched, even when no one is around. The cemetery's dark reputation is enhanced by the sense of dread that fills the air, making it a place where the spirits never truly rest. 13. Pittenweem Cemetery, Pittenweem, Fife. Pittenweem Cemetery, perched on the edge of the sea, is haunted by the ghost of a fisherman who died while searching for his lost wife. His spirit is often seen near the water's edge, gazing out to sea, waiting for a ship that will never return. On foggy nights, his figure is seen glowing faintly, walking along the shore, still calling for his lost love. Visitors have reported hearing the sound of footsteps behind them, followed by the faint echo of a voice crying out to the waves. There is a deep sadness surrounding his presence, a longing that never ends. The cemetery is a place where grief is never laid to rest, and the sea holds the spirits of the past. 14. St. Magnus's Cathedral Graveyard, Orkney. St. Magnus's Cathedral Graveyard, with its ancient stones and silent whispers, is haunted by the ghost of a monk whose death left him trapped in the afterlife. His shadowy figure is often seen walking through the graveyard, his face obscured, but his presence felt deeply. Some say they hear faint chants carried on the wind, though there are no monks in sight. Visitors describe a strange sensation when near his grave, as if the ground itself is vibrating with the energy of his spirit. The graveyard is steeped in the aura of ancient rites and rituals, and the spirits here seem unwilling to let go of the past. St. Magnus's Cathedral Graveyard is a place where the dead continue their journey, never fully leaving. 15. Old Calton Burial Ground, Edinburgh. Old Calton Burial Ground is known for its ghostly apparitions, most notably a woman in mourning who is seen kneeling at the graves, weeping for her lost loved ones. Her presence is particularly strong on stormy nights, when the wind howls through the cemetery and her sobs seem to echo across the graves. Visitors have reported seeing her figure, her face obscured by her hair, her form trembling with grief. Some have heard her soft cries and felt an overwhelming sadness in the air. Old Calton Burial Ground is a place where sorrow lingers long after the living have gone, and the grief of the past remains ever present. Which of these eerie graveyards would you dare to visit? Let us know your thoughts and share any creepy experiences you've had in these haunted places.